If I hadn't have been able to had this surgery done, it basically would have been the end of my life. Because I wouldn't have been able to do any of the things that I've been doing up to that point in time. If you can't do the things that you want to do in your life, well then what's the point?
Today, SecondStreet.org is speaking with British Columbia patient Ken Clifford. Ken believes his visit to a private surgical clinic in Vancouver saved his shoulder. But despite the private clinic helping patients like Ken, the government is trying to take this option away.
My name is Ken Clifford. I'm a retired engineer and I live in Lillooet, BC. And I'm very active. My wife and I are quite involved in the community. I have been involved in road rescue as well as search and rescue. We're very active people. Most people say that we're not the age that we are, so I guess that's a good thing. My injury was mid-July of this year. I fell during the night. I tripped over the dog and I fell and I injured my shoulder. And at the time I didn't feel that it was that bad, but the next day I couldn't lift my arm.
Ken was diagnosed with a torn rotator cuff and was told that if he did not receive surgery in 2 months, he could end up with permanent damage. At the same time, he was concerned about how long the healthcare system was taking to treat his condition.
And we went to the ER. I was there for 5 hours. The doctor said, yep, definitely you need surgery. He said, well, we'll try and schedule something. They gave me a name of a doctor and told me that they would follow up with us. Again, we were proactive and followed up with this doctor's office. And they just said, well, no, he's on vacation. You won't get a call for a few weeks. And by this time, we were aware that if we didn't get surgery within the next 2 months, we would have a problem.
One of Ken's friends suggested that he contact the Cambie Surgery Center. It's one of the few private surgery clinics in Vancouver. He then met with Dr. Brian Day at the clinic.
And did some tests on me. He said, yeah, he said, we need to get this done right away. We can't wait. He said, I could do this in 2 days if I didn't have to do all this paperwork for the system. He said, even though you're going to pay right out of your pocket, they still regulate us and we still have to do all this paperwork. So you're probably a couple of weeks out. And true to his word, that's what it was. The 30th of August, I was in for surgery and I've been in rehab since that time. And he tells me that I'll have full recovery of my shoulder. Had it not been for Dr. Day, I think this would have been an entirely different story.
Too many patients in Canada face long waiting periods like Ken did. Fraser Institute research shows waiting lists have grown substantially over the years, from an average of about 9 weeks in 1993 to over 25 weeks in 2021. COVID has made things worse, but waiting lists were a growing problem before the pandemic. In fact, thousands of patients die each year while waiting for surgery, diagnostic scans, and waiting for appointments with specialists. This means many patients spend their final years in pain while waiting for these things like knee and hip surgery, while many patients even die because they didn't receive surgery in time. SecondStreet.org has obtained government data showing 26,875 cases whereby patients died on waiting lists since 2018. This problem is not due to a lack of money. In 1993, provincial governments spent an average of $1,687 per person on healthcare. Today, it's even more than $5,200 per person, nearly double the rate of inflation. In terms of solutions, private clinics help patients while taking pressure off the public healthcare system, as some patients decide to pay for surgery rather than rely on the public system. However, recent court action by the BC government means patients can no longer do what Ken did and pay for surgery in their own province. What's odd is that people from outside of British Columbia can visit private clinics in BC for surgery, and British Columbians can travel to Alberta and other locations to pay privately for surgeries too. All of this results in unnecessary pollution as patients have to travel long distances for healthcare, economic losses as patients spend money in other countries, and missed opportunities to create jobs in Canada. Countries with universal healthcare systems that perform better than Canada's allow patients a choice: use the public system or pay out of pocket at private clinics. If Canada kept our public healthcare system but removed barriers for private surgical clinics, we could reduce waiting lists while offering patients more choice. More choice allowed Ken to obtain timely surgery and to get his life back instead of having to live with long-term shoulder problems.
There was a lot of things that I wouldn't have been able to do, but now I can. Like I can carry a sack of concrete, I can shovel snow, I can carry dog food from the truck. Yesterday, I said to Judy, I said, "Did you see that? I just threw that extension cord 50 feet. None of that stuff would have been possible. This summer, I'll be able to ride the quad and we'll be able to kayak. And I'm just so looking forward to that. And that wouldn't have been possible. So it's a silver lining."
To learn more about healthcare solutions, please visit secondstreet.org.